Hello, my friend. Are you ready to have more clients? I'm your host, Debbie Shadid. I am a master at building businesses. I can help you get more clients with super simple strategies. Plus, I can help you with a mindset so you can overcome the drama and the doubt. So let's get started. Welcome to the Women's Business Success Show. I'm super excited to have my new friend, Katie Wrede. She is the meal planner coach. Now, as you guys know, as part of this Grow You to Grow Your Business series, I have been bringing in other coaches that I think have things that can support you in your business, in your coaching business. And what Katie does is definitely something that really is intriguing. So you guys, I want you to meet Katie. Katie, tell us how you got started and how you became the meal planner coach.
Thank you so much for having me on, Debbie. It's so fun to meet you and get to know what you do. But how did this all happen? So basically, I was sick of, at that time, I wasn't running a coaching business. I was doing a 9 to 5, and this 9 to 5 had also the workday didn't end at 5 p.m. I often was working later than that, or there was on-call shifts or different things. And so I was just hating that feeling of coming to the end of the workday and being like, I have to plan what's for dinner again. Like we have to figure this process out again. And it's not something that you can just skip unless you're like going out to eat or different things like that. So I was just tired of that. And I didn't like how much time we were spending in the grocery store and trying to figure out, well, what ingredients do we need for this? And would this be better for this? And all of that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, you buy things that you don't need. So you're like, oh yeah, we could probably make a meal with this, but I don't really know. So we're just buying stuff. So you're wasting food, and sometimes buying like those frozen foods, like those prepackaged lasagnas. That's something that was really popular in our house for a while, but they were just packed with like sodium and different things that just didn't align with our values. But at the same time, it was like convenient, like I say that in quotes. And so just with all of that, I was like, hey, I'm not going to live my life like this forever. So we need to figure out a solution to this. So that's where it all started. And I started doing all of these like sets of experiments, like doing batch freezing or like massive cooking ahead of time, like spending 7 hours on a Sunday, just making meals for the sake of convenience, which is crazy. And doing these different apps and these meal kit delivery services. I just went on this whole bender trying to figure out how to make it work. And then when I found the solution and then found the solution of how to maintain that system, that's where this all came about.
Well, I can relate to almost everything you said. I think it starts with a grocery store, of us going to the grocery store either without a list, which means that I buy things that I already have, or I don't have a complete recipe for anything. And, for sure, wasting food at the end of the week, that's always a problem. And then I think everybody has, if they haven't tried batch freezing, if they haven't done all that Sunday cooking at some point or another, especially after last year with COVID, I think everybody was trying to figure out how to cook. So I think we've all been there. So tell us what happened and how you figured this out.
Well, I decided that if I was going to have a system, I wanted to be able to customize it to my needs. I didn't want an app that was like giving me limited amount of recipes, or that was controlling like what the serving sizes were, or having like a meal kit. Basically, I just didn't want to be tied in. I realized that my life is my own. It's a customizable, like it has to be customizable to my life. It has to be able to flex with the needs of me and my family and our wants and needs. And I didn't want to have a system where I was like almost like a slave to it, right? Like these apps or these meal kit delivery services, like you pay for it, but there's no end. Like it keeps going over and over again. And so I just developed it myself. And at the same time that I was doing this, I ran across the life coaching school method of the model. And I was like, okay, this is really awesome. Started to learn about your mindset and how to create results. And all this just kind of came together. And I created a program called Meal Planner Academy so that people can create their own personalized system no matter what is going on in their family. Like if they have kids that like this and the spouse likes this and there's dietary restrictions with this, but then they also have that mindset component where they can keep their system and not let it all fall apart.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Two things there. First of all, how often I hear somebody ordered, I won't name a brand of the meal kits delivered to your house. My daughter does that for one thing. And then it's like, oh, shoot, it's the end of the week and we have two left that we need to hurry up and use. That doesn't always work out best. But also, what's interesting is after talking with Janet, the sleep coach, and talking with Tracy about organization, and then, of course, I talk about mindset. It's so interesting that no matter what you do or what we do, there's always this mindset piece that I'm anxious to hear about how you tied those pieces together.
Yeah. So the example that I like to use is you can definitely buy a gym membership. You can buy the best gym membership in the world with all the fancy equipment and all the trainers inside, but if you do not manage your mind to get your butt in there, you're not going to see any results. And so that's why I really stress on there's all of these recipes and these preset meal plans that you can find thousands of results on the internet. But unless you know how to manage your mind. And what I mean by manage your mind is the people who come to me, they often have this story about themselves, like I'm not an organized person, I'm not a routine person, I can't follow through, I don't know how to meal plan. And all of those thoughts are like our brains are tracking dogs. And so when we have a thought that we believe that keeps going on autopilot, our brain is picking up all of this evidence and proving that thought true. So if you already believe that you're not an organized person and that you won't follow through, why would you even try to do a meal planning system? Because you believe you're going to mess it up. And not only that, when you do get your meal planning system or your gym membership or whatever you're doing, once you have that system in place, there are going to be times that you don't want to do it because our brains are lazy. And if we had it our way, we would hire a fancy chef. Actually, I had somebody come to me wanting to know how I could prevent her from just doing a pampered or not pampered chef, just like a personal chef,
Personal
to
chef,
just
yeah.
cook, clean, like do it all. Like, of course we all want that, but that's so expensive. Like that's not reasonable for a lot of us. So we've got to be able to work through the struggle when we don't feel like it or when we come across an obstacle that we don't know how to handle. What are the mindset tools that we're going to be able to use to get through that without completely derailing our whole system?
Yeah, and I love it how you mentioned that the meal planning that you talk about is your recipes and even a private chef. I know an entrepreneur who hired one, but it was sort of that same thing. She was coming in like 3 days a week and sort of bulk making meals and putting food out that she thought that they wanted. So they were kind of back in that same place. Well, let me ask you about entrepreneurs then, because it seems like probably I'm going to guess a lot of women running businesses are attracted to you. And so, why do you think this piece is a piece that's important for us to all use? And what's the benefit really?
Yeah, I mean, as businesswomen, you and I both know that we have so many decisions to make. We have so many things that we have brain drama about that we're constantly, dealing with on a daily basis. And our brains have limited capacity for decision making and solving problems. We have limited energy there. So wherever we can delegate those problems out or solve those problems and free up that brain space, the better we can use on our businesses to start making money. And not only that, but spend time for ourselves, which we all need, spending time with our loved ones or just pursuing our hobbies that we have. And that waste, in my opinion, and I think most people would agree, figuring out the what's for dinner question and spending time in the grocery store is the last thing that anybody should be using that energy on.
Yeah, I mean, and what ends up happening, I would suspect in a lot of cases, is it's like, let's order carry out, let's order takeout,
Yeah.
or what are we going to have? Sometimes just snacking around instead of really eating a meal.
Mm-hmm. And just the cost of that. I do a webinar and I'm not going to be able to think of the number in my head right now, but if you take the amount of times that you go out to eat, just even like once, and you multiply that by how many weeks in a year, it will shock you. It's like over $1,000 that you're just spending on dining out. And where could you reinvest that in yourself or your business or wherever, and not even to mention the health benefits that come with just cooking at home too versus going out. You just have complete control over that when you're cooking from home.
One of the things that I value personally, and the women that I coach in their business, that I work to help them with their business, is so that they can have time to sit down and have a family meal. That's such a thing that people just don't do anymore. And if this is figured out, it gives such a more likely opportunity that even if it's just you and your husband or you and your kids, whatever, that you could sit down and have that time together, which is so priceless, really.
Yeah, and that's another little hidden gem that people don't realize when they're working with me for They think they're getting a meal planning system,
Yeah.
which they get, but I'm also coaching on all the drama associated with dinner time. Like anything that you disagree with your husband. I actually have a little bonus class for this month that if you're signing up, then you get access to this dinner drama masterclass, because if your husband is like totally a meat and potatoes guy and you're like all veggies, how are you navigating that? Are you going to make two meals? Are you going to make one? Or are you going to make yourself resentful against your husband or your kids because that's not falling in line with what you do? So we're not only just covering that, we're covering any type of drama or stress around mealtime, because I agree that should be a time that you're not having to stress about. You're just eating and spending time with your loved ones. That shouldn't be something that you're stressing over and having this extra mental drama about, right?
Well, if you don't have a class about how to put your phone away at dinner, you should have one. All mothers in America would thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. I want to hear about this 4-week program that you call your Meal Planner Academy. Talk to us about how that works. And yeah, sell us all on why we should be in it, because I think it's pretty amazing.
Because if you are spending more than 10 minutes a week on meal planning, you should be joining my program. I actually did a survey not too long ago. Yeah, absolutely. And I just did a survey, and just on this random Facebook group, I asked, how long do you spend grocery shopping and planning your meals? And you got answers anywhere between 30 minutes to 2 hours every single week. And I'm like doing the math. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so much time doing all that when you could just get her done and move on with your life, right? So, but what the 4-week program is we focus first on the mind. So we take a look at your brain, which is the foundation for everything. Like I said, if you have a system and you're not knowing how to manage your brain properly, it will all fall apart. So you're wasting your time. Mm-hmm. So then the second step after we've done that, and the mindset is a thing that's ongoing, but we just want to get the basics. So the second one is organization. So we're basically Marie Kondoing everything. So we're looking at your kitchen, your recipe options, your pantry, all of that. We're going to clean it all up, because if you're trying to not clean up that part and just try to implement a system, it's kind of like trying to vacuum your living room with a bunch of toys and clothes scattered all over. You might get some of it, but it's not going to make the impact that you want it to make. So we're going to clean all that up. And then the third step is you are doing preparation. So this is where we're actually doing the nuts and bolts of like, how is your system working, and how are you doing your calendaring system, and how are you making your decisions, and how are you going to be, how often are you planning, who's involved with that? We're really getting that. And that's the nice part about this, is we make it customizable to you and your family. And this is not something that you're going to be locked into forever, because we also cover what happens when you need a change or you find out that something's not working. How are you going to be able to effectively and quickly solve that problem so you don't get stuck? And then the last part is that planning. That's where you put it all together, right? And then you're testing it out. And then I help with the tweaking and figuring out also what to do when life happens, when something unexpected happens that's not in the plan, and how do we resolve that?
I'm just thinking about kids. Now, my daughter's grown, so this doesn't affect me, but how fun it would be to sit down, not just with your husband, as you said, but to sit down with your kids and to do this with your family. Do you have people that are doing that too?
Yeah, I do. Yep. And one of the things that I teach in my program is called staple meals. I'll give you a freebie of one of the things that we cover. So staple meals are the things that everybody loves and that, I think it's unreasonable to expect that everyone's going to love every single meal all the time forever. That's
Hmm.
just not how life works. But if we can find some staple meals that everyone agrees with, or at least everyone gets a turn on their favorite meal, then it makes the rest of the week go smoother.
Yeah.
So you can
Right.
get your family and your kids, all involved in that process, and that makes it super fun.
Well, and then everybody's happy, right? I mean, everybody gets to pick, one night or whatever it is.
Hmm.
After somebody works with you and they get this mindset piece and the system mastered, then what results do you see in their lives, the changes that happen for them?
Yeah, so I think first off, with the mindset, it shows them that whatever they want as a result, they can get in their lives. Like, no matter what beliefs they've had about their abilities to do something or their abilities about what they could create in the future, all of that is disproven. And wow, if I can create this result in my life where I'm meal planning, just like me, I'm a perfect example. Like, if you would have talked to me 5 years ago, I would be like, there's no way that I'd be able to have a system like that. But if that's your possibility, what else can you do? So, for example, for your ladies with business, if they can show themselves, wow, I can create a system like this and have it sustainable, what else could I create? And that just opens it up. But not only is that for the mindset piece and learning how to deal with, mind management, which can be applied to any situation in your life, not just meal planning, but you also are saving that time and that money. You're getting healthier if that's one of the goals you have for meal planning. Just there's so many benefits besides just having a system. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love the idea of anybody who is working on tracking, I don't know, some kind of wellness or health or weight or I don't know what it would be, carbs or all the things. Everybody's got a way that this could be built into that. Is that right?
Yeah, and I've had clients actually come to me who are working with weight loss coaches who are
Mm.
using my program to supplement that because there are coaches who will tell them how to lose the weight, but not how to meal plan. Like, for example, one program that one of my clients was on, it's all about planning your meals and then eating only that and then processing whatever else comes up. But what if you don't have those skills to be able to meal plan? I think that's where my help comes in really handy.
I just can't get over 10 minutes a week. I mean, really, that just is mind blowing that somebody could do all of that in 10 minutes and get their shopping done. How does that part work?
Well, of course, if you're doing in-person shopping, you're not going to cut the 10-minute mark. But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you got that system, and that's also, it's important to understand if anyone's thinking that my system is like, well, you eat kale salads every single day. That's not it at all. We're still having the variety and the interest. It's not, having the same thing every single night or whatever. But yes, with the tools that I give them, as well as the mind management, 10 minutes is totally doable if you're focused.
So you guys do this at home every single week in and week out?
We sure do. Yep. And we deal with the mind drama every so often. We'll be like, oh, so we do more than I do more than just my business. My husband and I are musicians, so we have gigs like every weekend, and our planning day is on Sunday, or on Saturday, excuse me. And then sometimes we'll be like, oh, we had a really late gig on Friday, we just don't feel like it. And so we have to use those techniques, more me than him, because he's not a coach and I don't coach my husband. But yes, we still have to use those tools. So definitely, I'm not like a perfect human being who never has any struggles with meal planning, but we know that the system works. We have those beliefs that the system works and that we're totally capable of it. And then we just continue to do that and reap those benefits every week.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So tell me, just sort of recap for us again, your system versus all the other things that are out there. There are so many other resources.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about just sort of if you were going to wrap this up, why you feel like this is different and the right place for people to be.
Yeah, if people want freedom, That's what I provide is freedom. Because I think there's something to be said about if you have complete control over what you eat, how much you eat, and how often you plan, how much you spend on planning, that is the true result that people are looking for. Is they want freedom. They want freedom of time and freedom of money. But if you're locked into any of these services that are telling you otherwise, that you don't have freedom, you're missing the whole point. Or when that app or service suddenly decides to charge more or change their policies or just shut down, then you've got to start over from square one. Whereas if you're relying on yourself and you have that trust in yourself, you can do anything.
I think nobody probably is going to realize until they go to work with you how much time they actually spend thinking about this, because it's just the thinking and the quantity and the what am I doing for tomorrow? And even all day long, I suspect while people are at work, they're still thinking like, oh, what are we going to have for dinner? How many times a day you must go back to that thought about what are we eating next?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just over and over again. Yeah, there was a client that I was working with who said, like, I was asking her, how often do you think about that? And she's like, oh, probably 10 times a day. And so your brain realizes that's a problem. Like, we don't know what we're having for dinner. You don't have a plan to figure that out. And so your brain is continuing to, like keep spiraling back on that same problem. And you have to ask yourself we have all these thoughts that go through our head a day. What thought could you have had instead of that would have been more productive for something else versus the what's for dinner question?
Oh, yeah. Use your brain energy for something else. Okay, tell us about your Meal Planner Academy. And then I would like for you to share how somebody could get some freebies from you, because I know you must have something you can share. Tell us what somebody could expect if they were going to work with you and how the process works.
Yeah. Okay. So what you would do is go to katiereedcoaching.com, and my last name is spelled Wrede. And I'm sure we can link some in show notes of that website. So katiereedcoaching.com/apply. And then you fill out the questions in there. It's nothing too crazy. And then once you do that, then I get an email notification. And if I feel like we're a good fit, like if you're asking me you want free puppies in your application, I'm going to tell you, you're not the right person. Or if you want me to send you a bunch of recipes, I'm not going to be able to take you on. But once that happens, then we set up a meet and greet call, is what I call it, so that we can kind of get to know each other and learn more about what your goals are, and make sure that you don't have any questions about the program before we start. And then that's where the journey begins. So that's how you can apply to Meal Planner Academy.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Is this a group coaching, a membership, private coaching? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So right now it's kind of a hybrid between one-to-one coaching and a course. So you have one-to-one coaching sessions with me throughout the 4 weeks. And then also you get access to this client portal where you have that dinner drama masterclass, that bonus that I was talking about. And you get my templates and my video courses, my workbook, all that good stuff that helps you implement and keep you on track with the material. So then we kind of do check-in. And then in between those sessions, we have messaging support that I can help you with those things that come up during the week. So as you're struggling with stuff and learning how to do that, you don't have to wait for the next week to get all your questions and things answered. We can do that in real time using email or like a Voxer app.
Gosh, it sounds like you've thought of everything seriously in 4 weeks to be able to get all this figured out and resolved and done for good, to have access to you, to have email support, all of that. That is so fantastic.
I just thought about what would my past self would want, because I know what that was like, struggling with that what's for dinner question, and then I just created it, and then also did a couple of things extra that I hadn't thought about, just to kind of make it even more of an over-delivering type of service.
Yeah. Well, you guys, now we have heard from so many great people so far, and this is so interesting. Katie, I don't know of anyone else who does anything like what you're doing. like we've talked about. There's meal plan, prep things, there's delivery to your house, there's all this, but to have this really a system that can be set up that is based on what you want to eat with the grocery shopping, with the mindset piece, this is incredible. So you guys, ladies in business who need to free up some time, who need to use your brain to produce income, right? In business, to be able to do some other things. I mean, honestly, to be able to relax, to be able to enjoy time with your family. You guys need to get with Katie. This has been super amazing. Do you have any last things you want to share with us that we might have missed?
Oh my gosh, I just want to encourage you if you are stuck on the what's for dinner question, because once my husband and I put this system in place, we were able to create so many amazing results. Our music business, we were able to produce tenfold of our income. Like we were able to produce that much more. We both released albums. He was able to do a master's degree and we were able to balance, and I was able to start up a business. Like what are the things that you might be missing out on because of the time commitment? And I would just say, just believe in yourself enough to take that first step, because you and I have both hired coaches and we know that it's super scary to invest in yourself because of all the beliefs that you have that it might not work. But if you truly want the result, you have to trust yourself in order to invest not only the financial commitment, but just your belief and your time commitment that you are going to make this happen so you can reap those results for the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. Yeah, just growing yourself all the way around is, you guys, it's so rewarding. I just encourage you to get with Katie. All right, we are going to put all of this in the show notes, but in case somebody's driving along and not looking at this, where do they find you? Can you give us your domain name? Tell us how to get with you.
Yeah, so my website again is katieredecoaching.com. Wrede is spelled W-R-E-D-E. So check the show notes if you forget how that's spelled. Other ways you can find me on basically all the social media platforms at katie.wrede.coaching. And I have a ton of free content there if you want to learn more about what I do and what I'm all about.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. Thank you so much, Katie, for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Debbie.
You guys, I just want to mention again, this is your opportunity to become less overwhelmed with what is going on in your dinner time hours with your family so that you can enjoy that time. Everybody that I work with that comes to me to build a business is not only coming to learn how to do the business, like how do I get clients? How do I do that? They're doing it with the intention that they are trying to create a life that is what they want. And part of that includes downtime. Part of that includes freedom. And Katie, what you have to offer is just one more piece to that puzzle of having freedom. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys, until next time, I will see you next week. Bye-bye. All right, my friends, are you ready to get more clients? Let's go do it. Have an amazing week. And if you guys want that business assessment, I want to help you with your business. DebbieShadid.com/let's chat, LETSCHAT for a free business assessment. Until next time, bye-bye.